I'm Andrew from Harlott. Welcome to Nightbreed. How are you?
Good, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, doing well, man. Doing well. So you got started back in '06, is that right?
Oh, yeah, I mean, one of those soft launches kind of things. We were all teenagers at the time. It was like that high school battle of the bands thing.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
Kind of, I grew up on, a range of things, but by the time I was an early teenager, I was getting really into Megadeth and Slayer.
Hmm.
And, far be it from the man he is now, nearly 20 years ago, Dave Mustaine was kind of admirable. Like, it was definitely something that I wanted to do. So,
Yeah, man. Oh, look, hey, I reckon the last Megadeth album's pretty decent, man. Like they still
yeah,
got something going on.
they've still got reams of creative juice left.
Mm. Yeah,
Just
man.
some questionable social remarks.
Oh, yeah, no, of course, obviously, yeah, 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 cool. So what do you remember about the early sort of recording and writing back then when you guys were starting out?
um, I don't know, not too much. My memory's never been amazing. I think it's pretty much been the same the whole way through. When it comes to like writing music, it's always just been you have ideas of for me personally, ideas of beats and lyrical phrasing, and you kind of fit riffs in and around them. You
Mm.
have things that you want to try, things that you think will be cool. You'll hear inspiration for parts, and you go, "Oh man, that's an awesome passage of music. I'd love to do something similar to that."
Mm.
Um, and they all just kind of some songs fall together really easily. Some of them require a heap of pushing and pulling, but yeah, it's always been roughly the same. The major difference will be recording, just because um, you kind of get more comfortable in the studio. You understand more about what the actual recording process is.
Yeah.
You kind of remove all those you know childhood romantic fantasies about what going in and tracking a record's going to be like, and you
Yeah.
and you you realize that it's at the end of the day, it's all about the product, regardless of how you feel about and how things might be done.
Mm.
What you're working towards is something that people will listen to and enjoy. And there's some odd ways you can go about getting that final product.
Hmm.
And you know, there's some things that you kind of adapt or let go of for the sake of that product. I don't
Okay,
know if
yeah.
that makes any sense. I've got a really bad habit of just kind
No,
of rambling to.
no, rambling's what we're all about, man. That's cool. I guess so. There was a couple of things there. One you said about the fantasy of recording, and it just made me laugh because I sort of pictured like doing lines of coke and that kind of thing.
Oh my
Like,
God, no! I've got such a low tolerance for any kind of
yeah,
recreational drug. It's
yeah, yeah.
Although my friends who will like smoke a joint and then get on stage, I don't know how the fuck they do that. If I have
Mm.
half a joint, I just need to lie down and sleep. Like I couldn't possibly play guitar.
Mm. Yeah, no, fair enough.
The fantasy of when you see like you watch those a year and a half of the life of, and you
Mm.
see them in these massive studios, and they're kind of they're working it all out. They're feeling out the sounds. They've got all the time and money in the world,
Mm. Yeah,
and that's not an option for any band in this day and age,
no,
so far
not
as I
really.
can
No.
tell.
That's right. Yeah, and there's very few. Metallica might be able to pull that off,
Yeah,
but no one else
I
is.
mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know where to find a giant recording studio
Mm.
in Australia. Like
Yeah.
it's always smaller studios, bedroom jobs.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
that's it. Well, I suppose that's the thing. The technology exists that you can record stuff that sounds pretty incredible
yeah,
in a bedroom. That's great.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, it's opened up that possibility of recording and releasing music to pretty much everyone,
Mm.
and that's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's easier for the people with great content to get it out there, but it's also
Mm.
easier for people to just slap together whatever it is they've got and subject the world to it.
Yeah, and you have to. Well, it's fun to explore for new music. There's so much
Mm.
of it. Like,
Oh
there's
my goodness, there's
you almost
so
have
much of it. Yeah,
you almost have to. You can't just go, "I'll check this out." You almost have to commit to go, "I'll check this out," and not that.
yeah.
Like it's a weird.
You get new music fatigue as well, and you get
Mm.
burnt like by new bands, and you go, all right, I'm not looking at thrash bands anymore. I'm not doing that to myself.
Yeah. So if we jump forward a bit, 2015, I watched some of that Euro Diary video. How'd you guys
Oh,
end up
the
on that show?
Annihilator tour.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's a pretty huge gig to get, man.
it was, and it was a bit of a process, and I get asked about it a lot. And I always tell people, because people will often ask like for the formula because they want to know. They're like, "What do we
Yeah,
do?
yeah.
Yeah, what do we do to get that?" And I go, "I can't tell you what you need to do. I can just tell you what we did and how lucky we were to have landed that." Our first our first album came out on a small Italian label called Punishment 18.
Hmm.
Now we released it independently, and then this label kind of said we'll distribute it in Europe. And they gave you the deal that most small labels do when you're a small band: is they say we're not going to pay you anything, but
Mm.
what we will do is we're going to print physical copies, we're going to put it in stores, we're going to sell it at festivals and record fates, and if
Yeah.
the goal in your head was to make music for people to enjoy, then you're fine with it. You go, that's all
Mm.
right. I didn't,
Mhm.
I didn't start, a thrash metal
Yeah.
band to become a millionaire.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
that's
Yeah.
fine. If
Yeah.
if people like it enough and you're willing to put your money behind printing the fucking things, then knock yourself out.
Yeah.
Apologies for the language, by the way.
No, there's
Um,
no fucking worries.
all right, all
That's
right,
all
good,
fine.
good.
Yeah,
I've
no.
got, I can do my professional client speak, or I can do
Mm.
my relaxed social
Yeah,
speak.
no, chill out, it's fine.
So we had a minor label for the first album, but when it came to recording the second album, we passed it on to the same label, and the label representative kind of said, "Look, we're not sure we can help you out with this one, but we might know someone who can help."
Okay.
And I thought that was just a really soft no, thank you.
Mm.
Like I thought it was, like, I thought it was as good of a breakup excuse as anyone's ever given me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, look, you're not for me, but someone else might like you. Um, so whilst that was all happening in the background, Annihilator publicly requested what's the word I'm after? Admissions to a support band. They were
Oh
like, "There's
yeah, okay.
spots open."
Yeah.
There were
Yeah,
spots
cool.
open, and the requirement was that you had to have European record distribution.
Hmm.
And fortunately, because of the minor label, we did have European record distribution. So when we kind of sent, he was like, "Send me a link to one of your songs, live footage, some material, and what your band's all about." And I sent him, you know, gave him all that information. Jeff Waters does a lot of all of himself, so I believe he was the one who personally emailed back and said, you guys seem all right. Here's what it's going to cost. Here's how it works.
Mm.
All the clauses, all the if I don't like you in the first week, I'll send you home kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
well.
Things that were well within his right to do.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
It was his band filling up the venues.
Mm.
So it was he had to be comfortable on that tour.
Hmm.
Um, so we had this minor record label, and that allowed us to apply for this 6 week European tour. And then, we got accepted on the tour. The minor record label got back to me and said, "All right, we've passed on the album to someone that might like it, and they're actually interested. So you'll get an email soon from Metal Blade." And you kind of go, "Oh,
Yeah,
what?"
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of pinch yourself a bit, and yeah,
That's good,
sure
man.
enough,
Damn.
a couple of
Mm.
days time, label manager from Metal Blade Deutschland goes, "We've heard your stuff. We like the album. What what do you want to see? What do you like? How do you
Mm.
want to do this?"
Mm.
And then of course they go, "It's going to be released this year. Are you coming to Europe anytime soon to promote it?" And I was like,
Mhm.
"Well, funny enough, we've got 6 weeks coming up with Annihilator."
Mm.
So it all just kind of fell into place. Metal Blade came through with a deal. We got accepted on this tour. They all just kind of everything that needed to happen happened in sequence, really fortunately. And as a result of that, like 2015 just being this absolute fluke shot, we've managed to have a couple of the better part of a really enjoyable decade. Just
Yeah.
from that kind of stroke of luck.
Yeah, that's crazy,
8 years
man.
ago.
Yeah, cool. And sorry, mate. What were you saying?
No, no, no. I was just about to start talking about how much 6 weeks on a bus is
Mm. Yeah.
it's full of ups and downs.
Yeah. I was you all traveled on a bus together. Was Annihilator on buses as well? Like, how does that work?
So Annihilator had their own bus,
Hmm.
and they had one of those comfort liners. Jeff Waters had a bedroom. Like
Yeah,
there was
well,
a double bed on the end of one of those buses. Everyone else was in bunks, like the rest of the I won't say scum, but the crew and
yeah, yeah.
and the hired guns. But they had a large kind of luxury liner on the bottom story. There was a lounge room,
Mm,
um, and we were on what was essentially a transport bus. We kind of had a seating room at the back of the bus, 20 bunks, and then storage under the bus. So it was
wow,
still
yeah.
great. It was still
Mm,
like the most rock star shit that a 25-year-old me could have dreamed of.
mm,
But it was, yeah, it was. We were all going to the same venues every day. We were on the support band bus with the other support bands.
right.
So we got very close with them over the space of 6 weeks.
Mm,
And you end up being close with Annihilator as well, just because you're seeing them every day.
yeah.
Yeah, the Nightliner experience is totally crazy.
Mm. So uh after that tour, like, did you find you guys picked up like a much bigger audience after you'd played in front of all of those people?
Yeah, well, it's hard to kind of gauge just because I've got nothing to compare it to because it was just what happened was what happened, and
Mm,
I don't know what it would have been like if we hadn't gone and done that.
yeah.
I just know that we moved boxes and boxes of CDs on that tour, and um, I shook more old Polish dudes' hands than I ever thought I would in my entire life.
Mm,
Um, and we made some friends, made some connections. You kind of meet crew, you meet because it was Annihilator. There was people coming to shows like Schmier from Destruction was coming to the Polish gigs, and
mm.
every now and then there'd just be someone backstage. It was like, oh, it's so and so, like some fucking Gibson or Epiphone like business manager or something was backstage at one of the shows, and
Yeah, wow.
you kind of you have these awesome experiences and these opportunities to make what you hope will be long term industry connections.
Mm.
But the most important thing is that you put on a good show and people enjoy it, and you know we got to go back to Europe later, and you do see the occasional Harlott t-shirt,
No,
but
good man. Yeah.
I certainly didn't see every shirt that we sold, so I'm sure there's
Mhm.
some that never made it back.
Oh, that's good. That's good, man. So 2017, Extinction comes out through Metal Blade Records.
Yes,
How was that like writing and recording compared to, when it was not on such a big label?
it was quite cool. Because when Proliferation came out, that was loaded and locked. I have to apologize if you can hear my pets fighting.
No
There's
worries.
a cat and a Pomeranian absolutely going hammer and tongs at each other.
Wow. Well, if you need to intervene, that's good, man. Don't worry.
I don't know. I just need to. I don't know. I suppose start a betting ring. It's
Yeah.
quite evenly matched as far as size is concerned. Um, so yeah, the Proliferation was done and ready to go. So there wasn't a kind of back and forth with them at all. It was just like, here's what the album is, and they said, "Yep, that's fine."
Yeah.
But I think the Metal Blade were a very like they're a seasoned record label. They understand what the process is like. I'll never forget like meeting the label manager at the end of the Annihilator tour and being like, when do we need to come back? And he goes, whenever there's a good offer. And I said, when do you need another album out from us? And he goes, whenever it's ready.
Okay.
Like there was no deadlines, there was no pressure. He just went, put out good music and come back when something suits.
Mm.
So when it came to writing the next one, we wrote the album, pre-production. They don't when you think we'll demo it, we'll send it across and see what they think. They don't want to fucking hear that. They don't want to hear your shitty demos.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what they don't know what's happening in your head, cleaning that up to making it acceptable. They're just
Yeah.
going to hear something and go, "Good Lord, we can't release this." So
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't really try and waste their time too much until we really had something solid to show them. Like until you had pretty much vocals on, they didn't really want to know about it.
Yeah.
But they were at least kind enough to, this was the first time we recorded an album where we had like a recording budget. Not not that we didn't go over it, but at least we were, we had an allotment of funds to put towards it,
Yeah.
which certainly makes things a lot easier and allows you to justify spending a little bit more on the silly things.
Mhm.
But yeah, look, it's just the real difference is when you kind of get to that mastering stage,
Hmm.
and that's when it gets a bit hectic because that's when they go, when's the master going to be done? When do you want to do a single? Which
Hmm.
songs do you want to do as singles? Which one are you going to do a film clip for? And they start just like throwing, like, you get like a spreadsheet that goes, here's the following dates that are going to work in the
Yeah,
European
wow.
market. And the problem, they're always like, we're going to launch the single at like this time and it's 2 a.m. in Melbourne or something. And you're like,
Hmm.
well, fuck. Now I'm going to have to wake up at 2 a.m. and watch the YouTube comments coming in talking
Yeah.
about how much they preferred my vocals on the last album. And
Yeah.
I literally, I had someone comment on the last record saying that someone commented on the song saying, "Have they got a new vocalist?" And I commented as myself, as Andrew Hudson on the thing, and just said I preferred the old guy.
Mm.
And the dude said me too. And I was like, oh shit!
Oh man,
I
that's great.
absolutely scored an own goal of myself.
Oh man, that's great.
But it was nice to see people on YouTube.
Yeah,
I
man.
think when I realized we were getting, I think I realized that it was going well when people started to just fucking like take time out of their day to say that we sucked. That's
Yeah,
that's when you go, yes, someone's angry, and it was always you knew it was someone else in a band that was trying to do the same thing, but not having that level
yeah.
of not managing to get anywhere with it, just being like these guys suck. They're run of the mill dime a dozen. This sound has been done 1,000 times before. It's like, yeah, of course it has. It's the fucking best.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
thrash
yeah,
metal
that's
is also.
it.
When I never claim to reinvent any wheels. I
No,
just
that's it,
really
man.
like the particular wheels that I use.
Yeah, and so do the people who are into your band, man. Like, it's
Yeah,
good.
and
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's the 9 comments will be fuck yeah, these guys sound like Slayer, and then one comment will be fuck these guys, they sound like Slayer.
Yeah.
And you go, well, it's the result's the same. Some
Yeah.
people are vehemently against it.
Yeah. Oh. Hey, at least there's enough people out there digging it, man. That's the important thing.
Yeah, it still blows my mind. I remember getting an email from a Russian kid who was like 16, and he said he listened to the album every day when he walked to school, like through blizzards and shit. Like apart from that being like the most Soviet image I've ever seen in
Yeah,
my
was
head,
he drinking vodka as well?
just, just with one boot or something.
Yeah. Well, that's great though. Yeah. So 2020, you guys put out Detritus of the Final Age, and it was like
Yeah,
November 2020.
it was late.
How, sorry?
It was late 2020, and it wasn't supposed to be late 2020.
Yeah.
But as you can imagine, that was an interesting year to try and do anything.
Yeah, that's it. So how, like, I'm guessing the music was probably done pre 2020 or mostly?
Yeah, the album was finished recording at the start of the year,
Hmm.
and we were supposed to be in Europe in May.
Hmm.
So the album was supposed to be out by April. Like it was supposed to be on shelves. And then January, February, the record label were like, look, this might something's happening. We don't really know how bad this is going to be, but
Hmm.
let's just put it on ice for a bit and see what happens.
Yeah.
Tours started getting cancelled. Everything started getting cancelled. Um, obviously we had to pull out of Europe, and it just hit a point where I think by mid-year, Metal Blade were just like, "Oh, just fucking release it. Like this could go on for years.
Yeah,
There's no
that's it.
point on sitting this for much longer."
Hmm.
So, 2020 we released that record, and July this year will be the first time we actually managed to get out of the country and try and promote it.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we've just finished drums for like the fifth album, and we're only just trying to go over and spruik the last one.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. I saw studio footage of the drum recording. So is
Yeah,
that's the drums are done now, ready to go?
drums are finished.
Yeah, cool.
Doing it the classic heathen way, you do all the drums and then you fit all the instruments to
Yeah, that's great. That's a good way to do
it.
it. Um, so how did the album go coming out in lockdown? Like I kind of found it as I mean, I put music out as well, but as a listener, 2020 was kind of a really good year for us. Like we couldn't go and see shows, obviously,
Yeah.
but there was lots of live online stuff and heaps of
There was, yeah,
releases and.
There was people definitely flogging, that kind of online content streaming services and
Yeah.
other things. There was people absolutely adapting to the changes that were happening in the world.
Mm.
Um, as far as that album's concerned, for us, it was the first time we'd put an album out that was selling out of like the colored vinyls
Yeah,
before the
right.
release date.
Nice. Yeah.
Stream wise, it's done the best out of all of our albums. It outsold all the previous records. So like the band managed to still organically grow without the kind of without the backing of trying to get out there and sell it. And
Mm.
I think that's a realization that a lot of people came to in the last couple of years is you don't actually need to get out on the road to the world is online now.
Yeah, that's it.
You don't need to go to people's towns to make them give a shit about your band. Like it's
Mm.
our biggest listening base is the North, like United States. Like,
Yeah,
but
right.
by a country mile, we get the most amount of streaming traffic, the most amount of sales from North America.
Mhm.
Never been there. Never been there. Don't know if we're going to make it over there. I'd love to do it. But from from all accounts, it's a pretty rough place to tour. It's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a bigger Australia.
Hmm.
Um, but it's never like the fact that we've never been there has never stopped us from doing quite well in North America as far as people listening to us and people enjoying it and people purchasing our physical items.
Mm.
So
Oh,
yeah, I've no the album did quite well. I'm not sure if it would have done better if we'd managed to get over to Europe in those festivals in 2020, but it did what it needed to do it. I'm very proud of it for that. So
mm. Yeah, of course, man.
I think a lot of us also needed a break, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think anyone minded. Like there was a period of lockdown that was quite enjoyable
Hmm.
when you'd been so busy for so long, and someone was like, "Just stay home for a couple of months," and you're like, "Okay,
Yeah.
I must." I still had employment that allowed me to leave the house 5 days a week, so at least
Mm.
I
No,
didn't
me
go
too.
entirely
Yeah,
crazy. I'm not
yeah.
sure how I would have gone without that.
Mm. Yeah.
But
No, no. It was a weird time, but we all shared it, I guess. So it's kind of strange, you know.
I'm just admiring your room. I feel like I've gotten you at a disadvantage here because I can see you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't see my collection of candles.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Are you in the bath or
You're there with
something like
electric
that?
drum kit. You're a
Yeah.
Bremelin flags.
Yeah.
I've got some. Yeah, it's not a terribly metal living room.
Ah, hey, nothing wrong with that, man. That's cool. Yeah. Um, so your videos, you guys have great videos. I wanted to ask about a couple of them. Idle Minded, the games with death thing. Is that like a Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey thing?
I think so.
Yeah.
I I'm pretty sure, like as a concept, it's been done to death. But I
Oh.
find that a lot of the time, when a concept has been done to death, the ones that it's most famous for happen to be the ones that I haven't seen. It's like when someone goes, "You ripped that riff off." Like that's a riff from this song. Like you stole that riff from this song, and it's like I've never heard that song. I don't know what that band is.
Yeah.
But sometimes people have similar ideas.
Yeah,
So
of course,
you know,
man.
it wasn't a terribly fresh concept. I'm absolutely certain of it. But
Yeah, it's fun though, man.
I always just I always thought it was funny the idea of that classic kind of trope of playing against the devil for your soul in a game of chess. And I was
Yeah.
like, what if it was like fucking Kaplunk or something?
Yeah.
You were playing Hungry Hungry Hippos for your to stay on this mortal coil.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I
and
like, sorry.
yeah, it's I'm not a big fan of taking myself terribly too seriously.
Yeah, no,
I think
yeah.
heavy metal in a lot of ways, particularly some genres, is quite a silly kind of thing.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
think I would get really bored if I was trying to put on the act all the time. The only way I was going to be able to do film clips if I thought there was something in it for me, and
Mm.
the best way to do that was to make sure that there was a couple of gags that I was going to enjoy.
Yeah, that's cool. Um, uh, talking to funny videos, systematic reduction.
Systematic reduction, yeah,
That's good fun, man.
yeah. The budget Terminator.
Yeah, that's great. So are you guys, Schwarzenegger fans, that kind of thing?
Oh, I mean, who isn't? Who?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What young man that was born within the last like 30 years,
Yeah, yeah.
30 40 years isn't, you know?
Mm,
I mean, I'm a bit late for most of his greater works, but you know, I had older brothers, and
mm.
Predator was on repeat for
Oh,
a
always, yeah.
large portion of, you know, my childhood.
Hmm.
And I was always a bigger fan of Terminator 1 and Terminator 2.
Hmm.
So a lot of the references in the film clip are, you know, scenes from the Terminator. When he just elbows in that car window, and I just cut it so the window was then down.
Yeah. No, that's great, man. It's heaps of fun.
I think it did cost about $55.
Yeah,
That was,
no, yeah,
that's what it cost to feed 5 people charcoal chicken.
yeah, awesome. That's great. Um, Talking about Schwarzenegger, have you checked out Fubar at all yet? That Netflix show?
No, I'm currently trying to finish off Ozark. I've got about 2 episodes left of that.
Mm.
And then you know, as I turned on Netflix this afternoon, I saw Fubar.
Mm.
Was it fucked up beyond all recognition? I believe is an abbreviation.
Yeah,
I watched. Have you seen Maggie?
yeah, I have.
I
Yeah,
I couldn't believe how good that was. I couldn't believe that he just went, you know what, I'm going to do a sad movie about zombies and just fucking nailed it. Like, just smashed it out of the park. I never thought I'd watch an Arnold Schwarzenegger like film and feel any emotion towards his acting whatsoever.
yeah.
No, my daughter, like, but he was incredible in that. He was incredible. He didn't play a big tough badass. I mean, he was still a unit, but he
Mm.
was just playing a dad. It
Yeah,
was it was incredible.
yeah, but
It's all these actors that go through this kind of like late life renaissance. They just kind
yeah,
of it's like what's it, Michael Keaton.
yeah, yeah. He's
Michael
back.
Keaton disappeared for like 20, 30 years, and then he
Mm.
went, "Oh, I'm fucking back, and I'm
Yeah,
going to crush it." And the
that's
fact that
good.
his return role was like that Birdman film, which was
Yeah,
about a failing actor that has like clinging on to the success he had when he played a Cape Crusader like
mm.
30 years ago. I was
Yeah,
like, this is the most tongue-in-cheek shit I've ever seen.
yeah. That's a cool film.
Um, Probably off topic to what we were originally talking
No,
about, but
no,
just
it's
looking
fine,
at
man.
Michael
No,
Keaton.
whatever. Yeah, it's cool. It's great. Yeah, he's Batman again in the new Flash film.
Yeah, that's pretty
So
wild.
that's kind of funny. It's made fun of it sort of, and then now he's doing it again.
He made fun of it, and then they offered him
Yeah,
some money, and he's
yeah,
like, "I'll do it."
yeah.
Is he in the new? I don't know if these Beetlejuice rumors are true,
Yeah, I don't know if he's in it or not. Yeah.
but Jesus Christ, no one could possibly do Beetlejuice other than Michael Keaton,
No, no,
surely.
I agree with that. Yeah, for sure. Um, so while we're off topic, what have you been listening to lately? What kind of stuff are you checking out?
What am I listening to?
Yeah.
Oh God. To be honest, it's mostly audiobooks.
Oh yeah.
Like I genuinely, my job involves a large amount of like travel,
Hmm.
and a lot of it's just like long 4 hour drives into the middle of Victoria. And uh, I find that stories keep me a little bit more entertained. Like I can't do 4 hours of heavy metal.
Yeah.
It's a long time to just sit there, particularly when it's like competing with road noise. It just becomes a
Mm.
little bit sonorous.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to find a decent audiobook, which is difficult to do, particularly if you're just trying to find the free ones.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and also, like, I always find Americans reading, who's that bloody Lovecraft?
Oh yeah.
Americans reading Lovecraft and just not knowing how to pronounce so many of the words, just utterly butchering anything more than 3 syllables. And you go, good Lord.
Yeah.
But,
I struggle. Sorry, go on, yeah.
no. If you've got suggestions for music, I'm all ears.
No, no, that's cool. Yeah. I was going to say I struggle listening to the American voice in podcasts because I feel like nothing against Americans. I mean, I watch plenty of American, films and listen to
Mm,
American music and stuff, but I kind of feel I'm like, that's enough. Like, I don't need to listen to Americans talking
yeah.
as well,
It invades so much else of my life. I don't need
Yeah,
them. I don't need
yeah,
someone reading this so obnoxiously.
yeah. Podcasts as well. Like, they might be good, but I'm like, give me a British one or an Aussie one,
Absolutely.
That's yeah. Anyway, so you guys are playing
I was just
shows.
talking about how America's like one of our biggest fan bases.
Yeah,
Now
yeah. Fuck them
shitting on the
now.
way they sound.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Also, when any time an Australian makes fun of how someone else sounds,
Mm.
it is so. How dare we?
I know.
Like this is
Yeah,
such a disgusting accent.
yeah. Talk
I
about
feel
a
so
cop.
bad every time I speak out loud in another country. I'm just like, yep, this
Yeah,
is what we do.
that's yeah, yeah. G'day. Yeah,
Yeah, this is what we've done with the paradise on earth.
yeah,
Fucking how are you?
yeah. That's right, man. Um, so talking about overseas, you guys are heading overseas July, you said.
Yes, we've the all the well, not all the festivals. All the festivals we were supposed to do in 2020, we're gonna
Mhm.
go and try and do them now.
Yeah, nice,
Now,
awesome.
when I say the festivals,
Mm.
we're playing Pit Fest. We had to
Hmm.
turn down. We couldn't do Pit Fest in 2020, but they allowed us to come back for 2023. I mean, they were always like, come back next year. And then in 2021, they were like, come back next year. And then in 2022, they were like, so we're finally committing to it. The price of touring is doubled or tripled.
Mm. Yeah.
But, it's getting silly. So we just got to go and rip the band aid off and go and do it.
Hmm.
The lineup for Pit Fest this year is ridiculous.
Cool.
So like across 3 nights, there's like Mayhem and Marduk and Exorder and like just I don't know, yeah, way too many incredible bands. And it was like, well, we got to go.
Mm.
We've only got to be on stage for 30 minutes, and the rest of the time we can just fucking make an absolute meal of it.
Yeah, that
Um,
sounds great. Yeah.
in 2020, we were supposed to play a week after Pit Fest. We were going to be playing Rock Hard Festival.
Oh, okay.
And one of the headliners that year was going to be Blue Oyster Cult. And I so badly wanted to say that I played with Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah, of
I
course.
wanted
Yeah.
that on my resume, but
Mm.
Pit Fest was in May in 2020 and July this time, so it just didn't quite line up. So
Yeah.
we've got the week after Pit Fest, we've got a show in Dortmund, Tombstone Festival at a venue called Junkyard. It's
Mhm.
called a festival. It's like 7 bands, but it's just because
Yeah.
it's a big outdoor venue.
Mm.
And like I think like Midnight and Grave are playing, so it's gonna be sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then we got a couple of Polish gigs. We're lining up a couple of small German club shows. We've like earlier today got confirmation from a venue in Slovakia. I've never played Slovakia before. Done the Czech Republic, never done Slovakia.
Mm.
So yeah, we're only going for about 2 weeks, and I'm doing my best to stack 2 weeks full.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a different market now. It is it is a completely different world to what it was,
Mm.
5 years ago.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I'm sure the experience will be different as well. Hey.
Yeah, I believe so.
Mm.
Yeah, let alone the crushing financial uh,
Yeah.
circumstances.
Yeah.
That's fine. None of us got into this to make millions, so
Yeah. No, it's cool. Man.
what we're doing is we're buying experiences
Yeah.
at fucking premium rates.
Hey, hey, at the end of the day, like, you're gonna remember it, aren't you? That's huge.
Well, I don't know. That's the problem, isn't it? When you go to Europe and drink that much, strong chance you won't recall most of it.
Yeah, you might need to
I
make some
might,
more
yeah,
diary videos to kind of capture it,
yeah, Jesus. I don't want to watch short haired me ever again. Um,
Yeah.
well, I've got like a weird autopilot thing on stage where my brain just turns off.
Mhm.
So I genuinely don't recall. Like we did 6 weeks in Europe, 32 shows in
Mm.
the space of 6 weeks, and at the end of it, I was like, I don't really remember being on stage at any point.
Yeah,
Like I
no.
remember all the stuff before and all the stuff after, but the
Hmm.
actual shows themselves, not much recollection happened.
Yeah.
You're
Just
just
kind of,
holding on for dear life, just trying to get through the gig.
yeah, yeah. No, that's
All the
kind of
way
cool.
through.
Yeah, yeah. Sweet. Well, look, I know it's expensive, but hopefully you can make your way over WA sometime soon to
Look,
support
I've
this
been
album.
Yeah, I was chatting with a Perth promoter recently, and he was kind of talking about, and it's so dire because I'm like, at the moment it's $2,000 to get the band over.
Yeah, it's a
I'm like,
lot, hey, right? Yeah.
if $2,000 is your break even just on flights, and
Mm.
the promoter's being like, look, if we sell 200 tickets at this much, then anything after that will start making money. And I'm like,
Mm.
man, that's a lot. Like, that's
Yeah, that's a
That's not
lot.
how I like to. I don't want. Yeah.
Yeah,
And when they go, it's all right. I'll wear the loss, and I'm like, I'm not doing that to you. That's
yeah. No, fair
I don't
enough,
feel
man.
good
It's
about that.
hard. Yeah, of course, man. Well, hopefully the somehow miracle will happen and the price of lights will go down, you know.
Well, the maybe given the spotlight that's on Perth, particularly Perth's heavy music at the moment,
Mm,
thanks to the Eurovision, um, maybe some people will start injecting some money into the actual circuit over there, and it'll
yeah.
become a more financially viable place for most places because it's always a good time.
Oh yeah.
Every time we've played Perth, it's been a
Mm,
lot of fun, and
hmm.
it's always been, we played like a murder fest one time. I know we did what's the other one? What's that?
Oh crap, I know what you mean.
Stu McGill does them. The Silent
I
Night.
mean, yeah, Storm Rider.
Storm Rider, that's the one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we've done a Storm Rider or two. We've done a Murder Fest. They're always great shows. But yeah, it's the climate at the moment is just it's expensive enough to get your band to fucking Sydney from
Yeah.
Melbourne,
Hmm.
let alone the other side of the country.
Yeah, no, fair enough, man. That's all good. Cool. So one last question, I guess. You talked about the drums are down. How far away do you think we'll hear something new from you guys?
Um, I mean, if I track it all out in my head, we're talking months and months and months
Yeah,
because
of course.
I'll start the guitars next weekend. We all work full time, so this isn't like
Mm,
we get a week off and we spend it all in the studio. We do it. We use up our Friday nights and Saturdays to
yeah.
track this thing. So you two cut it out. Jesus Christ.
I gotta ask who's winning. Like, what's going on?
It's really well. The cat's cornered, but that might be when he's at his deadliest. So
Yeah,
it's anyone's game still.
yeah.
At the moment, there's still four eyes intact, so
Okay, good to
no
hear.
one's taking too much damage yet.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'll start tracking the guitar soon. But then we piss off for a couple of weeks.
Mm,
Vocals probably won't start until August, September, and then there's a mixing mastering process. So with any luck, towards the end of the year,
mm-hmm.
we'll start dropping the singles and have like a release date lined up.
Yeah,
But it is miles away. It is.
sure.
We're going to start dropping some of those songs live soon because
Oh, cool. Yeah.
we've worked them out in that environment.
Mm,
But yeah, it's the release is many, many, many months away.
yeah.
Which is
Cool.
probably not what anyone wanted to hear, but it's doing the best I can with what I have.
Yeah, of course. That's all good. That's all good. Well, look, I look forward to it. Best of luck with the tour and everything. I'm so sure you're gonna have a blast. And yeah, thanks heaps for your time, Andrew. It's been
Thanks
good.
for your time, buddy. Sorry about the lack of footage, but
Whatever, man. It's cool.
my my visuals aren't my best feature anyway, so it's fine.
I want to say this. Yeah, no, I'm joking. Cool.
Thanks for your time, mate.
Cool. Have a good one, man.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Bye.